All right. WBOK 1230 AM. This is NOLA Ed Education for Liberation. I am Dr. Edrin. I am happy to have my guest in the studio. Roddy, are you there?
I'm here.
What was your Roderick Harper?
Oh, goodness.
Thank you for joining us today. You know, I'm gonna
Thank you. I see.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited that I had the chance to get you in the studio. We've been trying to figure out how to make it happen, and all the stars lined up.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Can you say a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to ask you, just say a little bit about who you are.
Oh, wow.
We're going to shut you out a little bit more.
Okay, well, I am a 52, soon to be 53-year-old male vocalist. I was born in D.C., but my parents are from Louisiana. I used to come down here 3 months out of every year. They shipped me off the day after school was out, and then I would go back 2 days before school started. So I consider myself to be a country boy. My soul was born in Louisiana, and this is where I reside.
Where did they send you to?
Where did they send me to? My grandmother's. On my mother's side, on my mother's side and my father's side, I would spend half the summer, well, most of the summer actually in Lutcher, Louisiana, and then a portion of the summer in New Iberia, and then also in New Orleans, as well as Brobridge. Yeah.
So you did the whole.
Oh yeah.
Like, your bags were packed.
For true. Oh yeah, I already knew. That day after, I already knew. We were already packing like the week of, so.
That is so funny. And so you've been flying from way back.
Oh yeah.
When they had propeller planes.
Actually, my first flight, I was told, was at 6 months old.
Wow, they got rid of me at 6 months old?
Well, no, they were with me then. Yeah.
And so the song that started my show, which is the new, we're using that.
Yes.
And I think I'd like to use it as my new intro.
Go ahead, go for it.
The voice sounds familiar somehow.
It's called,
What's that?
okay, Mr. Wynton Marsalis. It's entitled Rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But who was singing that song?
That was me.
And is this on a new CD you have out?
This is my new CD called Perfect Imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about, one, that song choice, but overall the CD?
Okay, well, the song choice, I've always loved that song since the first time I heard it. I believe that it was supposed to be a part of the original soundtrack to the Rosewood movie. And I don't know why it wasn't in the movie, but he finally released the music that he created for the movie. And the first time I heard it, it just, it hit me, and I always kept it in my pocket, and I said, I want to sing that one day. And so I had the opportunity to do it, and that's why I did it.
And talk about the project altogether. It's called Perfect Imperfection.
Yes.
And you released it when?
I released it in September of last year, but it's still new. Well, it's the recording before this was the last recording I did before this was like maybe about 7-8 years ago. Life happens, and things happen for the good and for the not so good that you get the good out of. There's been a lot of things that I've learned in my life, and I came back to still having a passion for the music and singing and performing. And so part of my me getting my groove back and moving back to New Orleans was to put out another project. And so I wanted to be able to express myself and show my growth. Also choose songs that touched me in different ways. Songs that have been inspired by other artists that have touched my life personally, as well as you know, little stories behind certain songs on the CD that really remind me of like my parents and things like that. So while the project was being recorded, again, you know, I'm an independent artist. It's a learning experience. You have to learn how to trust your gut. Listen to that little voice inside. I really gave it my all, and I really tried to listen to that little voice inside to let me know whether I was going in the right direction or not. If I look at it critically at myself, I can always find things that I could have done better, but it was perfect for the period of time that I did it, because I know I gave my best effort at that time, and I was really happy with the outcome.
And you are, you said you're an independent artist. Where can people get this CD?
Well, you can purchase my CD through cdbaby.com, through Amazon. You can also, you can Google it online and purchase it, or you can stream it through any of the streaming services, Tidal, iTunes, most definitely iTunes. You know, I'm a Apple man for life. But all the streaming services, it's available. And I'd appreciate your support, most definitely.
And we're not able to play all of your songs, but on that CD, can you tell us some of the tunes that are on there, and yeah, some of the tunes that you recorded and you worked with, and for this project, and then I want to go into the other projects that I'm going to start with.
Okay. Well, the CD opens up with a song called "Never Will I Marry." That song I originally heard Cannonball and Nancy Wilson doing. Part of the reason why I chose that song or that music was because if it wasn't for Cannonball and Nancy Wilson, I probably would not be here. Long story short, my parents, you know, when they first met, they were both teaching in New Orleans, and they were at a party individually.
What were they teaching? They were high school teachers?
No, they graduated from college. My mother graduated from Xavier, and my father graduated from Southern. So I don't know what school my father was teaching at. Actually, I don't remember what school my mother was teaching at, but both of them were teaching at separate high schools, and and they were at a party, and my father saw my mother cross the room and told my cousin, who is like an uncle to me, my Uncle Norman. He told him that he was going to marry her.
Wow.
And then he walked over and told her, you know, introduced himself and told her that he was going to marry her. Unbeknownst to him, she was engaged to somebody else. Yeah. So, but he asked her out for a date. Now I don't know, you know, all the smooth talk that went in between that, but he asked her out for a date, and she went. The date was Cannonball Adderley and Nancy Wilson. I think. Yeah, and my mother's Delta. Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
And your mother is my soror. And she pledged at Xavier, or she pledged in?
She pledged in D.C. Yeah.
Okay. In which chapter did she pledge in D.C.?
No, I don't remember all that. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So the concert was at, I think it was in the Xavier Gym, and growing up, I always saw this album around, and that's how I found out the story. So, it was a Cannonball and Nancy? Yes. Wow. With everything on there, Save Your Love for Me, this, The Masquerade is Over, Unit 12. Yep, that Sleeping Bee is on there. Yeah, so everything's on there. So that album has very significant significance in my life, and so in addition to that, my own life experience, not being successful, unfortunately, in marriage, it inspired me to sing the song that I will not get married again.
And so, but Nancy Wilson is clearly, and again, the intro doesn't quite capture the versatility in your singing, but certainly Nancy Wilson is one of your influences.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And did you ever have a chance to meet her?
Once. Yes, I did, actually, at was it Wolf Trap in Virginia? Yes. Oh, yeah. She was stunning. She was a lady. She was a...
I met her once at the Mount Hood Jazz Festival in Mount Hood, Oregon, and all I had to do was tell her that I was that student.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yep. I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
She brought me backstage.
Yep.
It was like I was her niece.
Yeah.
After that.
Same thing.
That was really something else. And she had nothing but good. She knew so much stuff about Mr. Alvin Batiste.
Oh, yes.
Who taught at Southern University.
Our mentor.
She knew so much about Mr. Bat that I didn't realize until, remembering she called him Alvin. She didn't call him Bat.
Right.
She called him Alvin. She was the one who told me. I didn't know Mr. Bat had played backup organ for Ray Charles. She told me that.
I knew he was with Ray Charles, but I didn't know it was organ that he played.
She said, "Did you know that Alvin also played backup organ with Ray Charles?" I was like, "No, ma'am, I did not know that."
Yeah.
So Nancy Wilson. So I do want to ask about the song choice for the new CD, and then kind of conceptually, and you talked about it a little bit, but conceptually, how do they all fit? So you start out with
Never Will I Remember.
And then what's the next?
My Romance. My Romance. I've always loved that song. It's a song that I used to sing with Ellis Marsalis all the time when I used to perform with him back in the early '90s, early to mid '90s.
So he always performs. Is he every Friday at
Snug Harbor? Yeah, I think it's pretty much every Friday that he's in town, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And so you were the vocalist that was
at that time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, this was it was like the early like 91.
Yeah.
92,
91, 92, right out. Actually, my senior year, I had 2 senior years, but my senior year in Southern, because I was waiting on a class to graduate, in Baton Rouge. Yes. I started singing with him then, and then I immediately moved to New Orleans right after that, and started singing with him for. Had to have been about 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Until I moved to New York.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna circle back to what you learned from Ellis and what you learned from the
Okay.
But let's go. So then My Romance, and that was the song that you sang with Alvin.
Yes.
With with Ellis.
Right.
So you had the Nancy Wilson song, My Romance.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those two, what did they, again, kind of concept, what was the concept of this album, or was it more, were you looking for songs that would show your range and versatility?
Well, absolutely. Since I hadn't been on the scene in terms of recording in many years, I wanted to, I guess, remind those that might have remembered me through songs that they might have heard me sing before, in addition to showing what growth I've, the growth that I had made, and then my particular taste, because my tastes are all over the place, I mean, I do have a passion for the music, but I sing all the music, everything from European classical music to R&B, pop, rock. All those things aren't displayed on here, but there's just there's a little mixture of everything in there.
So, and then after My Romance is what?
Give, light, live, light, love.
Yeah, that's a tongue twister.
Yes.
I be making up words when I sing that song.
Yeah.
And who wrote that song? Why did you choose that one?
My dear friend, Mr. Nicholas Payton. It's one of several songs that I have and will be recording of his. I love his compositions. I've known him since he was, he wasn't even a teenager, but he's really like my spiritual brother too, and he's been in my corner since the beginning, and I just love the stuff that he does. And even though I know he didn't write it for me or with me in mind, when I heard the particular album that this song was on, which was on his CD called Bitches, that album, I just felt like, because it was his first, well, I think that was his first time like really recording and singing. I felt like the songs that he wrote on there, he had me in mind when he sung it, because I could connect with them so well. I know he didn't do it, but I'm just saying, I just felt like I could connect with it, and I just love his work, and I've worked with him in the past, and I really look forward to working with him again in the future. He's just
so all those songs that were on, why that song? Why did you pick that one?
It touched on me questioning life and love and happiness, things that I have experienced, and it just felt right for me. I could, I really got it, So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it.
Okay. And then, how did you change the song?
Oh, well, to be totally transparent, I had a very, we had a very, I would call it like a guerrilla recording session. Yeah, you were there. And basically everything was recorded in one room. And so after I did it, I sent it to him, let him hear it. And he said, you got some of the words wrong. I was like, I can't change it. I couldn't change it because the bleed over. When I perform it, I sing it right now. But I just, sometimes when you're recording and you try to listen back, sometimes you hear things and sometimes you don't. You know, I really wish I could have had him there so that I could have corrected that and redid it. But I apologize to him profusely, and I hope that he does forgive me. I think he does forgive me. But I just love the song, and I know the lyrics now.
But it is, in your defense, it is a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
And then, so there's the Nancy Wilson tune, My Romance, Nick tune.
The next one is In the Court of King Oliver. That song I heard, it's another Wynton Marsalis composition that I wrote lyrics to back when the record came out. I was inspired to, you know.
Did you share those lyrics with Wynton?
I did years ago. And I just got a so he didn't say he didn't like it, so I just took that as it was okay. So yeah, and it's basically talking about King Oliver and his journey. King Oliver is one of the originators of what is known as jazz. Yeah. So it talks about and how he inspired Louis Armstrong. So it doesn't go into like depth or anything like that. It's just a basic overview. But Body and Soul, Lord have mercy. Body and Soul, when I went to Southern University and stepped into the classroom with Alvin Batiste, one of the first songs that he presented to me, as well as another classmate of ours, Yolanda Pebbles Robinson. I forgot what her married name is now, so forgive me. But was Body and Soul. And over the years, this song I've grown with. And like nowadays when I sing it, I realize when I first started singing it, I really didn't know what I was singing. I really didn't. I've lived this song. I've lived this song in many, many different ways. It's a very it's painful and happy at the same time. And I am, not to digress too much, but I'm a very visual person. So whenever I'm singing, I always see I see images, almost you could say I'm running videos in my mind of what's happening and stuff like that. And so I go through this, it's like I'm there. And when I sing this song, I really like go there. And I'm in it. And it just pulls me. And I've just grown with the song. The song is much older than I am, but I've grown with it ever since I met it. Yeah, so it had to be a part of the music that I recorded.
So you have that one, and then how many tunes altogether? Like 5 tunes?
Yeah, there's 11. There's 11 tunes.
Oh, wow.
I go a little faster. So the next song. Okay. All right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The next song is Shades of Hue, which is another Nicholas Payton tune. It just reflects moods and love in a nutshell. The song after that was Green Dolphin Street. So that's something that should be in everybody's repertoire. I've been singing it for years, and I just decided to record that one. Rosewood, which you're using, yes. I'm Beginning to See the Light. First time I hered that was Mr. Joe Williams.
How did that tune go?
I never cared much for Moonlight Sky. Moonlit Sky. Yeah.
I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Recording it. Now, I wasn't in the studio that day.
No. Yeah. The next song is "Don't Let the Sun."
Wait. Now, why did you do that tune?
Really, as to tip my hat to those that came before me, Joe Williams. If there wasn't a him, there wouldn't be a me. The next song, "Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying," which was that's a song that was introduced to me through Ellis Marsalis when I was working with him years ago. Always loved that song.
Do you do it as a slow blues?
Yes. Yeah. It can get a little gospely, not on purpose, but sometimes it gets there. Right. And then it closes out with "Our Love Is Here to Stay." Just a happy, hopeful song,
Now, did you plan to do a tune by Betty Carter?
Yes. I attempted. No, I recorded tight. I just was not happy with it. So I may take
your band was relatively new.
Yes, when
working with you, and that's one of those tunes where it's like if you do a Maj Jamal, or you really do have to be tight.
Right.
Like the cohesion and the vibes with the group, and you have good guys with you. Who's on your CD?
I have Oscar Rosignoli, one of the baddest pianists in the city, young pianists in the city. I have Robin Sherman, a young bassist who is a protege of my classmate Roland Guerin. And I have Mr. Chris Guccione on the drums, a wonderful young drummer here in the city.
Okay.
Yes.
And Roland went to Southern with us.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's exciting. What tune was he on?
Roland wasn't on the tune. Robin is his student. Was his student, so he's his protege.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Roland didn't. But you kind of have Roland in the studio if you're the student.
Yeah. Absolutely. Roland was on my first record, my first album. Yeah.
The first record was called what?
Oh Lord, what's the name of my first? I forgot. I'm old. No, I don't really. Yes. Yeah, that's on the first CD.
So this CD project,
Beautiful Beginnings. I just remembered. The name of the first CD was Beautiful Beginnings. And that had Peter Martin, Roland Guerin, and Martin Butler on drums.
Oh, Martin was on drums.
Yeah.
What was down? I remember it was when I was at the set at the session. Did Donald ever plan anything?
No.
Or was he just there?
He was just there, yeah.
Maybe everybody was in the studio too.
Yes.
So this project is out now. Have
Yeah.
you done any gigs related to this? Or do you have any coming up?
I've done a few. And I guess my next biggest gig will be the Jazz Fest, which I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes.
So tell us about why you're looking forward to the Jazz Fest. What does the Jazz Fest mean relative to your career, but also just for, independent artists like you?
Jazz Fest for me has been I've performed on it through like Southern University Jazz Ensemble, and I've worked with several other artists, on their bandstand at the Jazz Fest, but I've never had an opportunity to lead my own band there. for someone like myself, an independent artist, to get an opportunity like this, for me, is very humbling, and it's a great honor, and I'm very excited for the opportunity. Excited and nervous, but more excited, you know.
What day are you on?
I am on the first Sunday, the 28th, at 12:15 at the Jazz Tent. Yes.
In the Jazz Tent?
Yes, in the Jazz Tent.
What?
Yes.
So excited.
Yeah, I am.
Have you decided, is it the band that you recorded with? Will be the band that performed at the
Yes.
Jazz?
In addition to that, I have a good friend of mine, Roderick Harper, will be on the sax as well.
Roderick is my brother-in-law. Now, I know you didn't really need a flute player, but you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you out there.
Don't be a hater.
Okay.
And so how long will your set be?
It's 50 minutes, I believe. Yeah.
50 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. And I know I'm a part of your entourage, right?
Huh?
So that's really exciting, Roderick.
I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And hopefully it'll lead to more opportunities, not just at the Jazz Fest, but the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation. They put on so many
They do.
concerts, and so hopefully that'll open up for you. And you're working on another project now.
Yes, because I didn't want to have another 7-8 year gap, so
Yeah.
I've already started working on my next project. I'm taking my time to do it. Again, partly because it's independent. At first, I was shooting for the end of the year, but now I've decided to be in the beginning of next year. So I should be finished recording pretty much like towards the beginning of the summer, if not sooner, and then take the second half of the year just to try and get funds, raise funds so that I can do the promotions and marketing, because that's where that's one of the keys that's missing. I kind of underestimated the today's expense in terms of the marketing and promotions aspect, especially as an independent artist. Because a lot of the machines, the promotional machines that really push the larger artists, don't want to fool with independent artists, partly because of, I guess, the push that they would have to put behind them as opposed to someone that is on a major label. And my thing has always been, just give me a shot. Sit back, let me show you what I can do first. And then after that, judge and see if I'm worth giving, putting some effort behind. I'm just asking for a shot, so.
So what are some of the promotional venues that independent artists should have access to, but because they may not have the same kind of financing?
Well, even something as simple as like getting reviewed in the major trade magazines, and it normally ends up being, or you can get, they'll have like an indie indie issue, and basically you pay so much amount of money, and they put your ad in a little box, in a magazine, and and that's not where the people are really looking, to check out CDs, as opposed to the major artists. They'll get, either a small write up or a large write up, and with an ad, so that there aren't many. Yeah, there's not many opportunities for that, unless you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, So those things cost, and so you have to get into some of the larger marketing and promotional companies that already have that door open where they just funnel their artists through. But,
Right.
you know, yeah, money.
Yeah. So conceptually, how the new project that you're working on different from this project?
This project, I'm going to expand more musically. There'll be, you know, it's not just like one genre of music, as well as I will be challenging myself to write more. I'm working on that. And I just want to you know, challenge myself, step up the quality of the performance, you know, that I'm recording, and make it where you don't know the difference between myself and someone that has a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 budget. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, per album, per project.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So a little known black history fact about you is that you started out singing with the jazz, with the Southern University Jazz concert band.
Oh, well, I was singing with both. I was singing with the jazz ensemble, and then I was singing with the Southern University Collegians under the direction of Dr. Isaac Patty Griggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And mostly the songs that they had you sing, that you performed with that group was Al tunes, right?
I did 2 Al Jarreau tunes. I did a Teddy Pendergrass tune, and one other song. It was what, Close the Door. Oh yeah, I used to love that. Ooh yeah, I used to love singing that. And then they also had me singing with the marching band. You know, I would literally go out with the cymbals, throw the cymbals on the ground, and sing with the marching band.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
The guys in the band didn't like that too much because I had on that S, but he told me to put it on. I didn't I didn't say I want to wear the S. Yeah, people from Southern understand what I mean.
So your early influences. So you know, we used to tease you about sounding like Al Jarreau.
Yes.
But outside of Nancy Wilson, who are your musical influences? And you actually sing R&B really well, Roddy.
Thank you. I love it.
Tebow Bryson.
Love it.
We just who did we just see at
Jeffrey Osborne.
Jeffrey Osborne.
Yeah.
So you do R&B really well, and
I love it.
I just wish people could hear you sing R&B. But can you talk about who your musical influences are?
Well, like I said before, they're all over the place. You know, coming up, I wasn't. You know, as a child, I wasn't singing jazz. You know, I was singing. You know, I was not. I was singing. You know, the Fifth Dimension. You know, the fifth. You know, Earth, Wind. You know, for everything from Fifth Dimension to Earth, Wind, and Fire. What's the guy that used to sing "Bye Bye Miss American Pie"? I don't remember his name. Yeah, you know. But then also. You know, so I was into that, of course, you know, disco, I was into that. Yeah. You know, but I guess vocally, I actually was, in terms of singing, the thing that inspired me the most about singing was the sound of the female voice. It really, it was just something about the timbre of the voice, like, really drew me in. And I can't explain it, really. But originally, that's what really inspired me to sing. My mother had a beautiful, beautiful voice. And we used to always, you know, sing together in the car and at home. And, you know, when I started out as a good Catholic boy, you know, you know, we used to do our little Catholic harmonies in church, you know. And then, so I used to try and emulate that when I was younger because my voice was very high. Then when my voice, you know, when you hit puberty and your voice starts to change and I couldn't hit those things, that's when I started to, not even knowing what I was doing, you know, begin to develop my ear in terms of harmonies. And then, and that's when I started listening to, you know, started focusing on male singers and trying to emulate what they were doing in my mirror, you know, singing with a screwdriver in my hand. But I used to know back in the day, you know, all the commercials had songs to them. I knew every single commercial, you know, how the song went, every theme song to every TV show, you know, and I just would not stop singing. You know, people would tell me, you know, my family would tell me to shut up all the time, you know, but yeah, then some of those, the move forward, you know, some of those heroes were like the George Bensons, Jeffrey Osborne, Maurice White, you know, from Earth, Wind and Fire, I can't think of everybody, you know, but, you know.
So if you were to record an R&B album, and
which I would love to do.
Like to do this. I always love to do this, and I know the station manager is with me. This is WBOK 12:30 a.m. I'm Dr. Adrian. This is NOLA Ed Education for Liberation, and we are talking with Roderick Harper Muhammad, a premier vocalist in the city whose talent transcends genres. And we're talking about his latest projects and other projects, and I am giving a hypothetical situation. So if you were to get, if you were to have let's not even put a cap on the budget, you could record an album. I guess they don't call them albums anymore. You could record a project, and you were going to do an R&B project.
Okay.
What would your song choice be?
There are a lot of songs that I would do. You mean in terms of?
What songs would you record?
I mean, I would be looking for new material, but also in terms of material that I would want to re-record. Love All the Hurt Away. That was actually a duet between Aretha Franklin and George Benson. Woman, you are all the things that I hoped and I prayed for.
Oh yeah, I remember that song.
Yeah, you know, catching me off the top of my head. I would say a lot of songs from like probably the late 70s, not necessarily the disco, but more of the soul songs, and maybe touch on some Marvin Gaye, some of his some of the earlier stuff. But actually, there's a song I was listening to on the way here. What was it? From the Midnight Love. Baby, 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 please don't go. Yeah, stuff like that. I'm really like a ballad singer. I love singing slow songs. I mean, I like doing fast songs as well. I do those, but I definitely connect more with a mid tempo to a slower song. So it would probably be more in the vein of your Jeffrey Osborne's, your Peebo Bryson. I'll definitely record some Peebo. Some Luther Vandross, of course. Yeah, Luther.
So you do get a chance to do, because you sing in a band regularly. That's
Yes.
Your band. But what band do you sing with?
I sing with a corporate band called the Nola Dukes, and that's a wonderful opportunity that I walked into when I moved back here. My bass player, Robin Sherman, was already a part of that group, and when we started getting together, working on the record, he was like, do you do other kinds of stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And so they needed a singer. I don't know if they needed a singer or not, but he suggested them to me. He told them about me, and I had an opportunity to work with them once, and then they asked me back. And I really enjoy working with them as well, because I get to stretch out and do my R&B and my pop, and even rock. Yeah, I'm singing Kiss, Prince. I'm singing everything. I get to utilize my falsetto, believe it or not. So.
And like songs, because they do like songs from the 70s and the 80s.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's soft rock and it's contemporary.
Yes.
Pop and
everything.
That's nice, though.
Even Justin Timberlake.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you gig with them fairly regularly?
Yes, I do.
That's cool. So, in a previous life, when you were at Sutherland University, you were known as Roderick
Wow. Southern University, when they had their radio station, I had a radio show called Roderick V's Melody.
Were you the quiet storm of the yard?
I was the quiet storm of the yard. Yes, I was.
And what time? It was the evening.
It was an early evening. It was like around 7 o'clock. Roderick V's Melody. It was Roderick V's Melody.
That is so funny. And how long did you do that? The whole time you were undergrad?
No, it was about a year. It was about a year. Mm-hmm.
It seemed like longer, but
It might have been, but yeah, it might have been. I think it was definitely 2 semesters, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was your playlist like?
Oh, it was everything from, of course, Wynton, Donald Harrison and Terrence Blanchard, to Freddie Jackson. I had blocks. So I had like 3 hours. So like my first block would be, Wynton and all them. Then my second block would be, the R&B. And then my third block would be, I guess back then they were calling it, what were they calling it? Like the Hiroshima, Spyro and stuff like that.
They were calling that jazz.
Okay, so I played that stuff in the third hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a nice, interesting, diverse.
Yeah.
Place there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a lot of free records back then too.
You got what?
I got a lot of free records back then.
Oh, okay.
Because they used to send the station, records all the time. So.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Of course not, because I had them. I did. I'm the only child, you know that.
So I want you to, as we kind of wrap up, talk about now you are, it almost feels like you've lived 4 or 5 lives, but now it's almost full circle back to New Orleans.
Yes.
Being a full-time jazz musician.
Yes.
Or not jazz musician.
Vocalist.
You do jazz. You are an excellent jazz singer, but also your R&B chops just can't be beat.
Thank you.
But now living the life of a full-time musician, what do you think? What are some of the challenges for musicians in the city now, as opposed to back in the day when you had a radio gig with Ellis? What are the challenges like now for musicians?
um, getting paid for singing, for performing. And I say that because, when I come back now and you can go down Frenchman, you see, a lot of clubs and a lot of young musicians playing, but they're playing for a cup of money.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just...
Even though the club is still open and they're serving
Absolutely,
drinks,
absolutely.
Are they charging at the door?
Most are not. Some do. Some do. Like I think some of your quote unquote more established bands, they'll have a cover, and then of course they're also getting drinks and stuff like that. And then they'll still have like a tip jar out. But it's just kind of disheartening to see that, and I think part of that might be some of the new people that have come into the city that don't really understand the history of the musicians here in New Orleans. And like if you have a band of 3 or 4 people and you're accepting for a 3-hour gig $50,
No.
I'm just saying in general, hypothetically, but how can those guys survive? How can you survive?
Yeah.
And when you have some people that like they're just passionate and they really want to play, and like, well, I'm just starting out, so I'll accept it or whatever. They don't really understand the repercussions of that, and it's like, to someone that may not know a lot about music or they're just a club owner or whatever, they're like, well, if I can get this guy, he can bring his band in here and play for 3 hours for, $50, and you're asking for, a couple $100 a person. I'm not going to pay that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of makes it hard.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, that's it.
So it has been hard. It's hard for someone like you. It would be hard for you to have a tight band because you all may not be gigging that often because people got to eat.
Exactly.
Like you can't do a 3-hour gig and you giving them, what they get, $10. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
That's not gonna happen. And then asking people to rehearse, that's going to be, you don't want to ask people to rehearse for free because that's their time.
And even like exactly. And most times I've found myself in a position of when I do get the gigs, basically, I'm, to make sure that the guys are getting paid, I don't get paid. I just make sure that the guys get paid, because I want, good musicians to play with me. And I would want that as a side person to make sure, that I'm getting paid for the work that I'm doing,
Right.
so.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because people, the perception of New Orleans is a place where you can hear all this music, and that people who come to the city don't realize that this is how people make their living. I remember right after Katrina, I was working with a musician, I won't say who he is, just it wasn't his problem, and I was doing the door for him, and there were people who would come in, and the door was like, I don't know, maybe the door was $10 or $15, maybe $10, and they didn't want to pay it. And I was like, look, this is how people eat. I'm not negotiating the door.
Exactly.
If you got 5 people with you, it's $50 because this is what this man eats off of. The band, the other guys in the band, that's what they eat off of. Like, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
The one person who was coming to the door didn't want to pay. He wanted to negotiate, and I was like, absolutely not. It's going to be, this amount. And he didn't want to pay it. I was like, well, you don't have to come in. So he's like, well, I'll come in. Then he pulled out a wad of money. And I think it may have been $50 that he had to pay because we had 5 people. And he paid it. And then he wanted to make special requests.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no. That's too much. That's too much.
That's crazy. Well, Roddy, I really appreciate having you on the show.
I appreciate you asking me. I really, really do. I really do.
And we will have you back before, or either right before your set or after,
Okay.
to get kind of a debrief on how you think it went.
All right.
To hear more about your project. But this is Roderick Harper.
Oh, God. Please don't give him all those names.
Otherwise known as my children's godfather, my godfather of my son. And I am Dr. Adrian. This is NOLA Ed Education for Liberation. We are on WBOK 1230 a.m. and we're here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. talking usually about education, but this is educational. Learning about music.
Make it work.
You be a teacher, right?
That's right.
We hope that you'll be a teacher again.
We'll see.
Hiring for a musician and or a teacher.
That's right. Reach out to you or me. Let me know something.
Right? So you will be on the Jazz Fest April 28th.
Yes.
At
12:15.
In the Jazz Tent.
Yes. Please buy my CD.
People can go on iTunes,
Amazon, Google Play, everything. Yeah. Perfect Imperfections.
All right. And they can listen to you take us out. We will be back next week. Will we be back next week? Maybe. But this is Dr. Adrian, NOLA Ed Education for Liberation on WBOK 1230 AM.
Thank you.